2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
Can I save my marriage?
Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brannon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin.
Brannon, how's it going, man?
It's okay.
You get some decent weather down there this weekend?
Yeah, it's been okay. It's been all right. Could be better, but I'm not complaining. So, yeah. How are you doing? Have you? I kind of thought I was going to lose a brother this week.
It's not that bad, man.
Did you try to talk without coughing up a lung?
Don't make me laugh. It makes me cough still. But
you're kind of a great example of denial.
What are you talking about?
Oh, exactly.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He's like, I'm not that sick. That is denial.
I've got a little bit of a cough. It's not like I'm dying or anything. We had this thing, you guys who are listening. My parents do this awesome thing every other year where we do a group family get together somewhere for Christmas. And because Christmas was so busy, they decided to do it this weekend, and so that everybody could go. And of course, I got sick, so I decided not to go down because I don't want to be that guy who's the super spreader. And now Brannon thinks I'm like dying. But it was basically just me trying to be courteous.
Yeah, okay. You're leaving out a few details, but I'll let them just, think that that's what's going on.
Ever since COVID, my immunity has somehow been pretty shattered, so I get sick over everything, it seems like now. But it wasn't like touch and go, life and death type stuff.
I know, I wasn't there, but I just give Tyler, I like to give you crap. Because what do we preach all the time? We preach self-care, right? Self-care. And we preach having boundaries with yourself. We taking care of yourself, focus on the things you need to. And no, I'm not indirectly trying to send these Tyler's way, but actually,
yes, you are.
So, yeah. Anyways, enough about you, Tyler, and your denial and your issues. Let's talk to our guests. They have been courageous enough to come on with us. We're really grateful that they're here. We love having couples come on, and I think it takes an extra amount of courage to come on as a couple. So I really appreciate them being here. So Alex and Emily, welcome to the show.
Hey. Hey, thanks. We appreciate you guys doing this. I got some in my throat too, but yeah, just grateful to be here.
Nice. If you could give us a little bit of what's going on and some context, some background, and we'll go from there.
Okay. I'll go ahead and start, I guess. So we've, and I shared some background information with you guys as well, so you've got that information, leading into this conversation, but we want to, have a good marriage. We want to save our marriage. We've had a lot of ups and downs. Now we've been married 6 years as of yesterday. We had our anniversary yesterday.
Wow.
Both of us were previously married. I was married for 15 years previous, and Emily was for 10. And both of us have been through different divorces and met at like a singles ward. We have a combined family. She has 3 kids from a previous marriage. I have 2. As we were going through our dating, I did disclose to her, hey, I'm a sex addict. I've been in recovery. I've been doing these different things. Just want to let you know. And that was a good, it was a good thing. We had a good conversation, but I don't think either of us kind of knew what we were getting into in the sense of like what that meant, right? Like what is the baggage? This was her first exposure to that kind of, recovery, somebody that's doing that kind of work. We combined our families together, and that in of itself it's an uphill battle. Trying to co-parent, dealing with parenting of the other person's kids, and then you add in, recovery type stuff and communication. And over the years, we've got a lot of resentment. There's been some relapses for me, through our marriage where I didn't know the appropriate ways to cope and handle. And there was a lot of escapism that I wanted to do. And so I had a handful of relapses. Now that I did disclose to Emily as they were occurring. Now, a lot of them weren't within 24 hours. Sometimes it would be like a week or a month later, and that caused some trauma. Emily, I'll let her speak to her past, but mine, I grew up in a very female-dominated household. My mom was very, very dominant. I don't know my dad at all. I only met him once in my life, but I do have a stepdad. Him and I weren't really close, so I grew up in a combined family. So I do have like a sense of like control issues. If I feel like someone's trying to control me, I rebel, and particularly a lot of times with women, like it's a struggle for me. But we're in counseling right now. We're trying to figure out how to get past this resentment, how to get past these issues. I'm trying to learn. Brannon, I have listened a lot to your podcast, particularly in yours, where you're talking about creating safety, where we hear that word so much, and us men are like, what is that? Why do I keep hearing that? And I think for me, that's like, how do I do this? And a lot of times, Emily will be like, you're not creating a safe environment. And I get frustrated. I'm like, I don't know what more I can do, But with Emily's background, she's had a lot of trauma in her past. But I'll let you speak to yours.
So yeah, my previous marriage, like I was married to an alcoholic, so it's like a little bit different. But I was like just kind of like in the dark most of the time with that. And so when I was dating Alex and he told me that he was a sex addict, it was actually really refreshing that he was open and honest about it. So going into the marriage, it felt different because he was actually willing to be transparent and talk about that stuff and be honest with me, which was the opposite of what I had in my last marriage. I think the main issue that came up like in the beginning of our marriage was with the kids, obviously, like parenting with stepchildren, and then like co-parenting with each other's exes is just a nightmare. And so that has been, we're getting better at it, but it's still a continual battlefield that we go through. And then the trauma, I think Alex is starting to understand as I'm getting better at explaining it, that happened in the beginning of our marriage was, and I thought that it would be related to the pornography use, but it's not. It's related to the control and the, and I don't really know how to put words to it. It's like, I guess you would call it objectifying, although I don't see Alex as an objectifier, but it's like just little comments like, I really don't like when you do your hair like that. And it was just like, just like these little messages over time that kind of just broke me down until I had like kind of a, after 2 to 3 years, I kind of just like had a complete breakdown where I couldn't get out of bed. And he didn't understand what was going on. And the way he went about it, I think he tried to motivate me like his mom would motivate him through, you need to get up. You need to exercise is what you need, like you're being a couch potato, you're being, and like, it just made it worse. And like, I was in this deep depression and, instead of joining me there and like just sitting with me in my pain, he was scared of it. And I was able to luckily pull myself out. And he thinks that he maybe, at first he thought that like maybe his motivation helped pull me out, but it was like despite his motivation that I got myself out of it. And it was like thanks to finally joining a support group of wives that, I finally got some clarity and some like, some like a breath of fresh air, just like from joining that support group and just getting some different perspectives and like hearing some language that like, like of what was happening to me, like a voice to just like, like what gaslighting was and what, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what's happening to me. And this is why I'm feeling like this. And so that was a game changer. And it kind of helped me kind of get some resilience to what was happening and be able to talk to Alex better. But since I've been gaining that strength and stuff, I think we're actually having a little bit more conflict because I'm finding my voice, but as I find my voice, maybe it's a little bit, I feel like I have to be a little bit too, I don't know, combative with it. And then there is still that resentment from the past. And I can tell that he's trying, but I'm still so defensive from what happened to me in the past that I might come across as too aggressive, too defensive, and too scared that past Alex is coming back and that I need to defend myself. So I don't know, that's my side of it.
I think to add to it too, like it is a double-edged sword a little bit where she initially didn't want to do the wives groups. I was pushing her towards it because I knew that would give her support. But like she mentioned, as that opened up, stuff like more accountability and more, fell onto me. It's like, hey, you're doing these things I just learned about. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Anyway. But yeah, that's our story, guys.
Okay, so just so that I can make sure that I'm clear on things, Emily, the main primary resentment that you're struggling with is this feeling of having been controlled when you were at your low point. Is there more to it than that? Are there other resentments, or is this the big one?
It's the big one. And then there's also, I guess, with our 2 oldest kids that suffered the worst during the divorce, I guess, just like kids when they're older, as they go through a divorce, it just affects them more. And so we struggled with them the most. And so my oldest is my son. Him and Alex went head to head and he ended up having to move out of the house. He's 18 now and old enough to, take care of him. Well, kind of. But he's working and, he like still comes over and stuff, but him and Alex really went head to head. And, I had to ask him to leave because there was just so many blowups. And Luke, I mean, he's not.
This is your son? Luke's your son?
My son. Yeah. And he's had a lot of struggles and he like there was definitely, he played his part in making it hard, but like it was really hard with the way the way that Alex dealt with it. And then on the flip side of it, now we're going through that same thing with Addie, where Alex is wanting, some sympathy from me and stuff. But I'm just like, well, like, where was the sympathy for me when we were dealing with this with Luke, and
So Addie is what, Alex's daughter?
My oldest.
and that's Alex's oldest.
Okay.
So there's also that we're going through right now where, with Luke, it was like, I felt it's like, the same story where Luke went through so much. I feel like I owed him, because his life turned out so hard. I feel like I owed him by letting him off the hook when he would do things wrong, which wasn't, the right way to handle it. And I got myself into a lot of, I let him off the hook for things that he should have been held accountable for. And it was really frustrating for Alex. And towards the end of him living there, I really started to hold his feet to the flames. And like, if he would leave the house without asking, like I would call the police on him, like I started to like really, hold boundaries with him. And it was like starting to really have an impact on him. And he was starting to be more responsible. But then it was just the combativeness between him and Alex. It came to a head and I had to ask him to leave. But, now we're going kind of through the same thing with Addie, where she's getting away with murder in my eyes. And I'm just like, when are you going to start holding her accountable? And he's like, well, I just needed to have some patience and understanding with me. And I'm like, where was the patience and understanding with me when I had these same feelings? Like, he's like, I feel like I ruined her life and now I owe her this, this debt and I'm trying to make it up to her. And I'm like, this is the same thing that happened with me and Luke. And like, where was the compassion for me when this was going on? But so that's the other big one below the other. But those I think are biggest resentments.
Let me ask you guys, like, what do you want? In a perfect world, what would your marriage look like? Like, how would it be?
Living on a beach in Hawaii without kids.
We're big Hawaii people. We love Hawaii.
But just, like our kids aren't going to be with us, forever. Like it's going to just be the two of us. Like I don't want to be fighting about the kids. So that needs to be gone. I want to be able to trust Alex. I want to be able to trust when he says he's going to do something that he's going to do it. Mm-hmm. And I want to feel safe with him. I want to feel like that he can protect my heart.
So I'm hearing safety, trust. Really, I also kind of hear companionship, like you're going to be alone with him. And so some companionship, safety and trust. Alex, what about you?
I think, in recovery, they say, connection is the opposite of addiction, right? And I'm trying to figure that out for me. Like, I want that connection with Emily where it's not like a codependent where I'm like defining who I am based on that relationship, but someone that I can talk to, be like, man, today was just a hard day. And we struggle with that right now because the walls are up, we're not really connecting in that way.
So you desire connection. So I'm hearing trust, safety, companionship, connection. Considering like who you guys are today and the experiences that you've been through in your life, are you capable of creating those things together?
I have hope that we are. Like, that's what I'm like. I can see it,
Okay. So why do you have hope, Emily?
Because I can, like, Alex is a good person. Like, he's a good man. And like when things are good, they're good. They're really good. It's just like, it's like this switch gets flipped. And all of a sudden, like, I turn into the enemy. And I can see it in his eyes. And like, he gets really defensive and he pulls out his weapons and it's like, I have to put up my wall.
So why are you guys falling back into those patterns? Like, what is it that pushes you back into those patterns?
I don't know, what are your thoughts on that one?
I really think it's the day-to-day issues, finances have been really tight. I was laid off in July, and finances for me was a big issue. I've started my own business. Things are okay now, but and I'd say the other for me is just communication around the kids. It's the resentment, Brannon. It's that
But
resentment keeps
you're not, Alex, I'm not hearing you get to the heart of it. Like what you're talking about is the symptoms. So we can't handle finances together. We struggle. We have stress. We can't communicate about the kids. Well, why can't you guys communicate? Why can't you build trust? Why can't you handle the finances, the kids, sex, whatever it is? Like that's the question. What is getting in the way of that?
I can feel myself like when like the other day, I can see him like react out of fear. And it's just like I feel myself go into single mom mode. And I don't know if that's what it is. Like I feel like I have to take it on all alone.
So Emily, I just heard you say when he reacts out of fear, you react to his fear in fear. Right?
Yeah, it's like, here we go. Like, buckle up.
You've got to like single mom it and like take care of this, and right. And he's triggered over in fear over there, right? And so I know I'm a little annoying here, but we gotta ask the question, why are you triggered into that fear? There's a reason why, Alex, you get triggered by things that she does, and Emily, you get triggered by things that he does. You guys, your protective parts are coming up with each other, and instead of creating connection and actually seeing who you really are, your protective parts are dancing with each other, and they're like, "Whoa, you did this and you did that," and if we can unburden those protectors and show vulnerability and who you really are, and show some compassion and some grace with each other, in those moments is when you'll really deeply connect. Because it's like, you see me in my mess, you see me in my fear, you can hold space for me. Now that's not happening. And that's not happening for a reason. And if we focus on all the symptoms of, the kids are just a great place to reflect back things. Like it happens in every marriage, but especially a mixed family, and other places, sex and money and the in-laws, and like all of these things just show you the actual struggle. So Tyler, anything you want to add?
Yeah, well, I think just maybe crystallize a little bit what you're trying to get at, Brannon. I think there's a pretty simple one to identify right here based off of the information you've given us already, is that, Alex, you said that you're already prone to not liking feeling controlled, especially from a woman, because of how you were raised. So in some sense, there's this raw spot that is already part of you, that then anytime Emily might come and say, "Hey, have you considered this?" or "Hey, you might need to do that," or "Why don't you do this?" or "Why don't you do that?" It's not like it's just Emily coming to Alex and saying, "Hey, we need to deal with this thing with our kid." All of Alex goes, "Damn it, Mom, get off my back." But Emily gets all of that heat when all she really did was come and say, "Hey, what are we going to do about this parenting thing?" Right? And it's happening on both sides. That's what Brannon's getting at here. And because then those activated parts go into straight up self-protection, there is no room for the actual work that needs to be done, which is Alex needs to go, "Whoa, hold on a minute. Okay, deep breaths. Hey, my raw part just kind of came out there. I'm sorry." And Emily could go like, "Oh, I know that's a big deal for you. I could maybe approach it slightly differently next time. And here's what's coming up for me." And Alex would be like, I know I hit that button. I don't mean to. But then you guys could then work together through that. And that would actually bring, even though there would be conflict and tension and struggle, there would actually be what Brannon's talking about: grace, respect, compassion, understanding, even though there's still going to be some conflict that has to iron out whatever the issue is. if both of you aren't doing the work on yourselves to trust yourselves to handle the other person's protective part, then you're going to be in self-defense the whole time.
Yeah.
And you're going to be focused on the other person needing to change and fix themselves so that you can feel better. And it takes all your power out from under you in terms of actually creating a shift and a change in your marriage. And I know this is annoying, counsel advice is like the marital issues that you're having are not about the other person. Like to stop and think about it that way and say, okay, like I get triggered. Oh, for example, Emily, you just said like I get triggered when I see him in fear, right? So for you to say, whoa, what does that do for me? Like my protective parts come up because of some reasons here. Like that really freaks me out. So in that moment, when you see him in fear, instead of doing what you normally do, you could opposite action it a little bit, unburden that part and say something like, whoa, it looks like you're in fear, Alex. Tell me what's going on, which is opposite of single mother mode, right?
Yeah.
But it's like what I just said is so much easier said than done. You have to have the strength and the fortitude to hang in those moments. And when you're go to straight protective mode, like Tyler said, you're not going to hang in there. And so we need to look at what needs to be done to desensitize this trauma, to reprocess some of your trauma so that when the triggers come, they're not as triggering. You can regulate them and you can hang in there with the other person.
Yeah, I've been doing my individual therapy, and this is like what my argument has been is that like we're still needing a lot of individual therapy work. Like I've been seeing, my individual therapist. We've just been like touching the surface on my EMDR work.
Okay.
Like I have like childhood stuff that like I had a repressed memory that came up last December that like rocked my world. So like I've been working through that, and like we've been working the MDR stuff, and like it's helping, but like I feel like every time I start working on myself, it's like Alex is over here like, wait, me. And then he like starts this little fire of like drama, and then I can't work on my stuff and I have to like go put out this fire. And so like that's been frustrating. It's like I can't do with this when I'm trying to work on this. Like I gotta work on me, and he's like, no, we've got to do marriage therapy. Like we have to even be able to communicate to get, make our marriage work and stuff. And I'm like, no, like I got to take care of this first. But like I get pushback on that. And what I struggle with is trusting myself enough to stand up for that. Because I'm still like in a place where I doubt myself. And so like when he's like really like, no, like we really need this, I start to cower a little bit. And so like, okay, well, let's just do it. And so we do it. And then and afterwards I'm like, no, I should have trusted myself. So
it doesn't work. It doesn't work, does it?
No, it doesn't. Then I'm just like being pulled between two things, and then nothing's getting done. Like neither of my therapies are being productive.
You're just spending a lot of money on therapy.
Yeah.
It's kind of a delicate balance that we're talking about here too, because you guys have come together and you are in a marriage. And so on some level, there needs to be at least an acknowledgement of that marriage.
Yeah.
It's kind of tricky, like when you're in a situation like the one that you guys are in, which is, by the way, very, very common. Like you guys are not alone. This is something that's very, very common. The quick fix would be the marriage itself in both partners' minds. A lot of times it's like, man, well, if we could just stop fighting about the kids or this or that or the other. But what we don't realize is that until we're both willing to understand that there is deeper work to do, it's always going to be something else, because the deeper work is still not being done, and those protective parts are going to continue to be activated in that way. My kind of thought about that and approach is that you don't necessarily need to shy away totally from the marriage therapy, but it needs to change the focus. the marriage therapy, the individual work is primary and focused, and then out in the distance, kind of in the periphery, there still needs to be this acknowledgement of, hey, we still live together. We could still learn some skills. We could kind of, I'm thinking of, there's one of our comments over here just referenced the book, The Anatomy of Peace, which I think is prime for you guys right now. Those concepts and that kind of like touch point of like, okay, yeah, we're still working towards the same goals here, but we're doing it through these methods now. Let's touch point. Let's make sure we're still here. I see you, you see me. Okay, great. That kind of marriage therapy, I think, is okay. But if you're jumping in to fix your problems right now without addressing the individual issues, that's what Brannon's talking about will be just overly frustrating and extra expensive.
Yeah, Tyler, let me ask you something here. So let's say I got dropped off at like a home building site and I was supposed to frame the house. And so I'd get dropped off. And one, I don't have any tools. And two, it's me. How would that go?
I'm not buying that house.
I don't know how to frame houses, guys, at all. Like, if I could like grab a rock and like start pounding on it, or like trying to like put it together, because the rain's gonna come, the snow's coming, like life's here. I got to figure this out, right? But I don't have the skills. I don't have the ability to really create this thing. And so, what do I need to do?
You need tools, and you need to know how to do it.
Right. So what I wouldn't do is keep pounding the rock on the nail. Just like, well, we have to make this happen right now. I got to build this house right now. I would step away some from the building site, and I would go either mentor under somebody and learn, or take a class and really understand, what does this mean to actually show up to build a healthy relationship or to build a house here, right? And you guys are kind of, you're each trying to like, well, I'm putting a nail in here and I'm putting one in here, and like, we're going to figure this out here with the kids. Or stop. We can talk about the kids and all this stuff all day long. Stop. What you need to do is say, okay, what do I need to do in order to learn how to be a person that can create trust, safety, intimacy, and connection, right? And what is blocking me? What is blocking me from doing that? Because I might be terrified to go learn how to do that. Like, there might be things that are like, no, oh no, you don't. Focus on this unhealthy relationship, because that's a great distractor. Stay stuck there, because I might have to go face my deepest demons, my scariest things, in order to get to that place where I can create empathy and intimacy and all the things that we want. Right? Does that?
Brannon,
go ahead, Tyler.
Brannon, I would just add to that I think what I was trying to say is exactly what you were trying to say, and that sometimes you guys might take the same class, know. So it's like, okay, both of us need to figure out how to manage our protective parts. Both of us need to figure out how to be more empathetic, more understanding. Both of us need to figure out how to soften our hearts and loosen resentment. Okay, I might take this, like we do a group here called Foundations of Recovery, where it's right at the beginning of recovery, couples come together, but it's not a couples class. It's here's the principles, here's the language, here's the thing you guys can speak with each other, here's the direction we invite you both to go. So it's a exercise done together that you could call a marriage exercise, but it's not really going to solve the marriage. It's going to get you both started, right? But at the end of the day, we're both responsible to figure out what our direction is forward to be more effective in the reality of our current situation.
What do you guys think about this?
I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, it does feel like we're just, I don't know, banging our head against a wall pretty much sometimes.
I think for me, and I hear this a lot, it's like, you got to do your own individual stuff. And the part that I struggle with, guys, is like that connection. And we talked about this in marriage counseling. I want that connection with her, but I can't have it right now. Like, in the sense where there's not trust, we're working on the individual stuff. And the reason why I was thinking marriage counseling is because we there's times where Emily comes to me and she's like, why aren't you doing this with her? And I'm like, or with your daughter, why aren't you enforcing this rule? And I'll feel flooded. I'm like, I don't know how to respond to that. And so I'm trying to think of like marriage counseling as like a way that we communicate each week to work through our problems with the family. But
Well, like connection can come from more places than just me. Like I'm getting great connection in my wife's group, but like I don't know. You need
The thing about it is like connection. Think about it this way, Alex, is like if you go and you force connection because you're scared that you're not going to get it, what are you going to create?
Resistance.
Okay, and let's say she's resistant and she's like, "You're forcing this. I'm uncomfortable with this," and you're like, "No, we better go to the counselor and talk about this." So you're forcing her even more, right? If you were creating connection, what would you like? What would you do with her? What would that actually look like?
Spending time, quality time, trying to do things with her, without the kids, where it's just me and her.
Yeah, okay. But I love that. So we could 5 love language this but like one thing you would do, Alex, is you would start to see her for who she really is right where she's at. So instead of saying we got to go change this, I need this, I need that from you, you better be this, you better be that. It's I see you. I can feel your pain. So now that I see you and I care and I love you, now let's go talk about our problems. Let's go work through these things. But that has to be there first. Right. And if and I'm talking to both of you here if you're in your own trauma and your own fear and your own shame, it's too vulnerable to extend that. It's too scary to give that to the other person because you're in your protective parts. You're worried about number one, first and foremost. So it's too scary to extend that. So that's where you guys are stuck. Right. And Alex, I'd want you to ask yourself, like, do I want that connection? Do I want to, because I'm in my fear, because I want to feel abandoned, rejected, like I want to fix this. Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. But is that your fear driving that versus love?
Yeah, I think you're right. And I mean, that's why I want to jump on this. Like it is, I have a lot of fear-based thinking. And I like what you said, I just need to see her for who she is first. And, we'll go from there and just meet her where she's at. And, the kid stuff, like we'll just try and work through that as it comes. It's hard. We've got 6 kids total. We've got one together. So, I mean, we got a full house, but,
In my house analogy, like you guys showed up to build some crazy monstrosity architectural thing that's like extremely difficult. But yeah, but you guys can do this one thing piece at a time if you actually take a step back and do the work the right way. Yeah, go ahead, Tyler.
Could I just give you a little bit of a recipe, even though it's messier than the recipe, that might be helpful for you guys and might speak a little bit to what you need, Alex, too. This comes from a presentation that I did a long time ago. So I think it was UCAP, Utah Coalition Against Pornography, 2019, I think it was. So you can go look at that longer presentation if you want, but I'm just going to share a slide or two from it and kind of explain some things really quickly. So hopefully you should be able to see my screen now. Can you see a slide there?
Yeah.
Guys? Okay. So basically this is the cycle that most couples get into, which it's all focused on the behavior up here. My partner always controls me. And because she's so controlling of me, what ends up happening is it goes down and hits all of that deeper stuff we talked about, I'm not lovable, or I'm not powerful, or I'm not something else. And it hits a primary emotion, which is that fear, that shame, that doubt, whatever it is. But the primary emotion never gets showed or shared. and it filters up to a secondary emotion, which is then going to be something like frustration or irritability or apathy or something. And then I'll give my own behavior, which is interesting because your coping, Alex, to the things that she does when she controls you is actually inviting the very thing that you hate, because you're hitting her nerve now by your response to her, right? So then you go to her and say, like, all I want for her is to see me and be, connecting and everything else. But now I'm going to go to her and tell her all the ways that she's not doing it right, thinking that I'm correcting her and helping her. And she goes, bam, oh, there it is again. I'm not good enough. I'll never measure up. You see how it works. It's a figure eight, right? And where couples get to is they focus on this up top and they don't learn the skills to get it to focus down here, which is, wow, when my partner does this, what that actually means is that they're feeling this. Oh, I'm going to respond to that feeling instead. That's going to come through understanding, empathy, validation, patience, kindness, grace. But I can't do that unless I'm doing my own work over here too, right? And so in order to do that is we're trying to work together down low on this deeper stuff, and inevitably it will break down. And so here's the pathway out of it, is that when it starts to break down, it doesn't matter which side it goes on. We have to recognize the cycle and say, oh, we're hitting each other's deeper stuff here right now. Okay, so we're not probably going to connect deeply until we figure that out. I'm going to choose compassion first, compassion for my partner and for myself.
We're doing the best we can.
We're both doing the best we can. We might need to take a little bit of a time out. Let's get some perspective. Let's get grounded. Let's get our hearts back to peace with each other. You're going to choose to connect to your values. So you have to go back into getting grounded and saying, what do I really want here in my marriage? Is this a chance for me to be right? Or is this for a chance for me to be effective? Because what I really want is to show my partner that I see them and to be seen by my partner, or I could just hurry and continue to do the cycle, right? And then I'm going to identify the partner's emotion and speak that emotion back to them. Mm-hmm. Now, through this process, this is where Emily's right. This will go way better if you have a group to hold that with you. It's like, dang, okay, we're trying. Boom, we broke down. Uh-oh, what's going to go on? Grounded, make a phone call, get some perspective, get some support, have somebody say, I still see you, Alex. This is, you know what you're fighting for here, what's really going on for her. And then you go, oh yeah, okay, she was feeling controlled by me. That makes sense. That's her stuff. Hey, Emily, I've been thinking about it. I would have wished I would have phrased it this way instead of that way last time. Just wanted you to know that I see you and I didn't mean to hit those buttons for you. Right? That starts the new conversation until it breaks down again, and then you're going to do it over and over again.
I love this, Tyler.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And that's what's happening is we're rubbing each other, our raw spots, constantly. And her trauma is rubbing up against mine, and my addiction is adding fuel to it, and we're just rubbing each other. Consistently, we haven't been able to get out of that cycle.
You've got to be able to take a breath and get grounded and get your perspective and get back to like a full, clear, wise mind, and then enter in and get in at a different point where you're not already instantly hitting that, because that's going to that will actually build trust in the relationship over time if two partners start to do that with each other. If they trust that the other person is going to go get grounded and come back and be like, oh, I see you this way. I still feel this way, but I see that, but sometimes it needs a breath and groundedness to get back to some kind of a positive interaction.
I think that's what we've been needing. Oh, Brannon, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine. We're just running out of time, and I just want to, I love what Tyler just shared too. And yay, like that would be amazing if you can do that. But if you're not doing the underlying work, that's your triggers are going to win. But I love what he just shared. But what I want to do is grab a pen, paper. I'm going to tell you, if I were your therapist, and Tyler can add in, if I were your therapist and you sat down for a first session, what would I recommend? Like, what is the, like, where do you get started? Where do you go from here? You guys got a lot of good stuff going already. You have pieces to the puzzle that seem pretty awesome. But so I'm just going to fire away here. First thing I'd recommend is, believe it or not, sounds like I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth. I would recommend a couples session every so often. And what I would do in that couples session is we would look at logistics of setting you both up for a successful individual recovery. So you're living together, you're figuring it out together. So, and you want to know the other person's doing some work and you're doing your work. So it's like you come together and you share with each other how the work's going. And there might be little things like little boundaries or things that need to be in place so that you both feel safe to do the work. So it might be, hey, we're going to commit to this or that. Well, like maybe when it comes to Addie, I make the decisions right now because just right now we just need to do it that way, right? So like those logistics need to be in place so you guys can start your individual recovery work. Emily, you say you're starting to dip into the EMDR, which I love. There's going to be a part of you that's going to be like, I'm scared to go there, and you can pace that. But I'd say pace it and make sure you're not going too far too fast, but have courage enough to be consistent and step back in. So continue your individual therapy if that individual therapy is focused on doing deep trauma work. I'd continue your support group. It seems like it's a total lifeline to you, Emily. I would suggest both of you to be, I mean, one of my groups or Tyler's groups about the Reclaim Your Heart trauma healing journey would be good for both of you. So you got to look at this and say, financially, how can we make all this fit? But that is individual work, and it's a process of deep trauma healing and self-discovery, and it changes your relationship in the end. So now I'm not trying to overwhelm you guys. Now you're going to a support group once a week, you're going to a therapy group once a week, and you're meeting with a therapist, maybe once a week, every other week, doing some trauma work. Okay. On top of that, and within the group and within the therapy, you really start to focus in and dial in on your own individual self-care. Like that becomes priority number one to start. I'm going to get my exercise in. I'm going to get my sleep. I'm going to be as healthy as I possibly can be spiritually in all ways so that I can do this really hard work. And then you engage. So all this stuff I just said, it doesn't fix it. You engage in a process. You take one day at a time. There's a journey going on here, right? And there's going to be bumps in the road that feels like everything is ruined. But if you stay engaged and consistent in the long run, you'll look back and be like, whoa, like that's working. Like things have changed. Things are better. There is hope. You can heal. You guys don't, like, you can build a beautiful house together. You absolutely can. So Tyler, anything you want to add to that?
No, Brannon, I think the sweet spot work, back to that chart that I had, is in the lower part of the quadrant. It's in the sense of self, in terms of my insecurities, managing my emotions, understanding myself. And when both people can learn to trust themselves, then they have more to offer to the other person, because then the defenses don't have to be up. So if I know, like, okay, maybe my wife's going to come and hit me with something today and say, like, Tyler, you did this and this wrong. And if I'm not doing my own work and I'm like, oh, that means I suck. That means I'm a terrible husband. That means you should have just married somebody else. Then all of a sudden, I'm not standing in my power. I'm not offering connection. But if I'm doing the work to know, you know what? Yeah, that is a raw spot for me. And hey, Tyler, you didn't do this today. And I go, yeah, dang, that hits my shame a little bit. But yeah, you're right. I didn't do that. And tell me more. Like, you said it this way, but you must have meant it this way. And I'm going to actually rephrase it down at the lower quadrant and say, it sounds like you're not feeling understood or heard or taken care of today. Is that what you're saying? All of a sudden, that's a bid for connection. That's a bid for trust. I can do that if I'm doing my own work. if I don't do my own work, I will never be able to offer that back. And so that's what Brannon said about stepping into your own trauma work. And that's why the healing journey, I think, is an awesome pathway to work here. And I know, Alex, you're just barely dipping your toes into this with me right now. I think it was maybe not even been a week yet since you reached out.
Yeah, last week, yeah.
Yeah, so follow the path. If you follow that, it's funny because you won't think about it, but it will start to change your marriage because you'll show up slightly differently. And when you show up slightly differently, the whole system will alter itself. It'll build trust. And if she does the same thing, she's going to be building trust with you just by doing the work she's doing. So,
have we thoroughly overwhelmed you guys today?
No, actually, we've overwhelmed ourselves. What you guys offered is some good advice and good perspective. And I mean, we want to live a meaningful life. We want to find peace and joy.
I hate it when I see two really good people not be able to learn how to love each other, because and the truth is you guys aren't the bad guy.
Nope.
But there's demons there. There's things there that are in between, and you can deal with the demons. You can face the fear, and you can realize like, whoa, we married each other because like we're both pretty awesome, and we can navigate this together, right? So, Emily, any last words?
No, just thank you.
You're welcome.
You guys work the path forward. You guys can make this. There is hope here, you guys. So,
You guys, thank you for coming on. And to our listeners, thank you for listening. If this was helpful, just give them a shout out in reviews, tell them thank you, and thanks for being here. And until next time, keep on keeping on.